I've just been handed this. It's the key to this thing, the F12 Berlinetta, Ferrari's replacement for the 599 and the fastest and most powerful road car the firm has ever produced. Now, any day you get to drive a Ferrari is pretty momentous, but I've got a feeling today's going to be that little bit more special, which is why I wanted you to enjoy this initial encounter with me. First things first, let's talk about the styling. Personally, I think it looks stunning, much better than the 599. And it's not just for us to perv over. There's real functionality to this Pininfarina design too. This big scoop here, well, that goes right through a hole in the flanks and smooths out the air down the side. It's called the Aero Bridge. Very clever stuff. But enough about that. Let's take a look inside. Right, so the first thing you notice is that this is actually quite spacious. It's a smaller car than the 599, but they've managed to maintain pretty much the exact same interior dimensions. There's a 500-litre boot behind you, of course, because the engine's in the front. In terms of how it looks, it's a lot closer to the 458's interior design than it is to the FF. That's because they've grouped all the controls onto the steering wheel here. So you've got your indicators, your lights, your suspension, your Manatino switch, and the screens for your sat-nav and audio, well, they're tucked in next to the rev counter. There's no big screen in the middle of the dash. But to be honest, there's only one thing that matters, and that's the key down here. If we give it a twist, the dash lights up, and we push this button. Let's go for a drive. Okay, so let's talk about the numbers. Under the bonnet, we've got a development of the FF's 6.3 litre V12, but it's now got an incredible 740 horsepower. That's roughly the same as a modern F1 car. Zero to 62, well, that'll take 3.1 seconds. 0 to 124, that'll take 8.5, and the top speed is 211 miles an hour. If I'm honest, it's a bit too much performance to fully exploit on the road. But when you do find a bit of a space, you can drop down a couple of gears and give it full throttle for a fraction of a second, and it's just incredible. The noise, the sound, even at 20-30 miles an hour going through town, this thing's just so dramatic. It's got heart, it's got soul. We're in Italy and people are cheering us down the road. This is fantastic. You know what? I think this F12 has the hardest job of any Ferrari because it actually has to serve two roles. Firstly, it needs to be absolutely ballistic on track, something we'll come to later. But it also needs to be a proper front-engined GT, so it needs to be comfortable, refined, it needs to take two passengers wherever they want to go swiftly and in comfort. And I have to say, in that respect, Ferrari's absolutely nailed it. It's slightly firm and the steering's a bit quick and a bit nervy, but apart from that, I could easily use this thing every day. The engine's just chugging along, the twin-clutch gearbox, we're in auto mode now, it's beautifully smooth. Yeah, what we need now, though, is a track to find out what this car can really do. And luckily, Ferrari has opened the gates to its famous Fiorano test facility. Whoa, there's the oversteer. Here we go, third gear. Back on the brakes. Hard left. Oh, the brakes are absolutely incredible. Huge carbon fibre discs, as with all Ferraris. The steering, well, it's very quick. Ooh, and very aggressive. Much quicker ratio than the 599, so you flick it where you want to go and it just follows. I have to say though, I thought this was going to be intimidating. This has the same amount of power, if you believe it, as a modern Formula 1 car, Same amount of power as a Formula One car in a rear-wheel drive coupe that weighs about 1.6 tons. Now, if that doesn't sound like a recipe for spitting you off the track, and of course the 599, well, that was a bit of a spiky customer too, but this is just so easy. It's so friendly, it's so usable. The noise, of course, is incredible. It's a Ferrari V12. Hard on the brakes. This is the hairpin. I'm told by Raphael, Ferrari's chief test driver, that something like the 458 you can be a bit more aggressive with because it's a supercar, because you drive by the seat of your pants. But a car like this, well, you need to be a little bit smoother, respect that it weighs a bit more, but when you open it up, oh, I think it would show a 458 which way to go. So, what can we say about the F12 Berlinetta? Well, it's not just faster than the 599 it replaces, it's taken a huge performance leap. And despite that, it's actually easier to drive and more forgiving than the 599, which could be spiky at times. In terms of the way it handles, with that low centre of gravity, it's almost as sharp as a mid-engine car. So if you're in the market for a 458, now you might want to reconsider. I reckon this thing is the best all-round supercar in the world.